You want to remove using an 1/8 inch hex bit, an Allen bit. We highly recommend screwdriver and not power tools. Here we're using power tools. They have been calibrated. You want to hold the tip of the bit and line it up with the screw head so you avoid punching holes in your woofer. You remove the trim ring and then you rock the driver up, and all the connections are made on the driver. You want to wiggle those off lengthwise, not shortwise, on the terminal to avoid damaging the terminal. Red is positive, white is negative. Then there's a piece of foam right underneath that. You want to push it down and out of the way. There's adhesive on the side, so you're going to have to push it and break it. And then once that adhesive is broken, you can lift the foam out of the way. You want to reinstall that just like you found it, of course. Next, you're going to remove the tweeter. And that takes a number 1 square drive. So number 1 square drive, Robertson. You're just going to remove all 4 of those from the tweeter lens. The tweeter driver, which is underneath it, and the tweeter lens both have interference in the cabinet. So you're going to reach in to the bottom, push the tweeter driver up, then you're going to unscrew the tweeter lens. Once undone, you'll see that piece of screen. Lift that out of the way as well. Then bring the tweeter up and out. Push the terminals and pull both the positive lead and the negative lead out. In your kit of parts, you're going to grab your pre-terminated tweeters. These are the Jupiter caps. This is about the same if you have Clarity caps as well. You're going to use the supplied Loctite SI 5900 adhesive, and you're going to do a back and forth or a wide bead like you see here. And this is a damping adhesive, so I would highly recommend you follow our technique when you do this. And then you're going to apply this onto the tweeter. That silver lead goes onto the positive terminal. Slide it into the terminal, bend it around, and put the tweeter on the center line back of the tweeter. You are going to tape it in place and let it cure overnight. Install the negative lead into the negative push terminal, and then you remove your adhesive masking tape, and you're going to reinstall the tweeter driver into the tweeter lens. And don't forget the screen. You're going to push that assembly up against the cabinet, and then you're going to screw the tweeter lens onto the tweeter. The tweeter doesn't turn, the lens turns. Once firmed up, you line up the holes and reinstall the number 1 square drive screws. We highly recommend you do this by hand, start them by hand, trying to find the threads that were originally made into the wood. These are not steel on steel inserts, these are wood screws into the wood. Over torquing them will cause them to strip, and then you have to put epoxy backfill and wait. You don't want to do that, so when you torque these down, you want to torque these to 1 Newton meter, or about 10 inch-pounds. Garrett's saying once you have these screws in place, that tweeter lens, you can give the tweeter driver underneath a final torque to make sure it's snugged up good against the lens itself. All right, tweeter's installed. Now you're going to fish the main leads up along with the tweeter leads. So you're going to have 2 hot, 2 cold, 2 red, 2 white. And then you're going to reinstall the foam piece. You're going to put it back just as it was. Don't try to make it better. Just use the same parts. And in the same position that you removed it in. There's really no need to put adhesive on the sidewalls since you're not going to be shipping them. If you do think you're going to be shipping them, a little dab of any adhesive on the sides just to make sure they don't move isn't a bad idea, but yeah, we don't think it's necessary. It's just it does prevent that foam piece from moving, and the foam piece location is critical, and its orientation. With all 4 leads, you're going to put the reds on the terminal labeled positive. It's embossed on the driver tabs, and push it. If you're going to wiggle it with the long edge, not the short edge. Whites go to the negative embossed tabs, and the reds go to the positive embossed tabs. Make sure that those go underneath and not between the driver cabinet and the driver frame. You don't want to pinch those leads. Then you put the trim ring back on, line up your holes, and then place your screws in those holes and just start them all finger tight, just or with your fingers. You want to make sure that they go in without a screwdriver or without power tools, just to make sure you're not cross-threading. Once you've started those by hand, you can then go ahead and torque these down. And when you torque them, you're going to be moving in opposites. So the first screw that you do is going to be, say, the 0 position, which is whatever one you start with. And you're going to be using a screwdriver. You're going to snug it down, and then opposite, snug it down, and then 90 degrees, snug it down, then its opposite, snug it down, then 45 degrees, snug it, its opposite, and then the remaining 2. The torque specification on these is 20 inch-pounds or about 2 Newton meters. You are done. Repeat.